This is a sad day for the transgender community, and although transgender people are often the victims of crime, this is someone who was a victim to both themselves and the people around them. I'm talking about Leela Alcorn. If I pronounce her name wrong, I'm really sorry. So I saw about this all last night and then this morning, and I'm going to start with the fact that she was unaware until she was 14 that it was possible to have gender reassignment. She was unaware of what the word transgender meant and of just the word transgender. And she writes that when she was 14 she found out and she cried with happiness. And that is something I can completely relate to. But then she goes on to say that her mother's reaction was to argue and say that God doesn't make mistakes. Well, I and every other transgendered person here am living proof that he does. I'm not going to go into if he exists or not right now, but evidently mistakes are made. And I'm not saying transgender people are mistakes, I just want to get that clear. I'm just saying that parts of life aren't quite as you'd hope they'd be planned out. So yeah. And moving on to what happened with her. She went out at about 2:30 in the morning and was involved in a incident involving a farm trailer that later led to her death. I'm not sure how much later, but yeah. And she'd queued a post on Tumblr, which I think a lot of you have seen. That was her suicide note. And it was one of the hardest things I've ever had to read. And I think the hardest part about it was that this didn't have to happen. This could have so easily been avoided. She could still be with us. She could be transitioning. She could feel like she was able to be herself. But because of the lack of education and the closed-mindedness of some people, she felt that she could no longer live in this world. Something I find offensive is the statement her mother later released, in which she referred to her daughter as her son. That you would think that at least in death she could let her daughter be herself. But instead she said that her son, and I'm quoting here, her son had returned to heaven and that he had been out for a morning walk and had been involved in an accident. That whole statement kind of implies that Leela was just out for a casual walk at 2:30 in the morning, which I don't know many people who do that. And she also implied that it was an accident. But she left the note, and that she's so clearly depressed, and the fact that her mother can't even admit that is awful. And I think that as a community and with our allies, whether you're cisgendered, transgendered, don't have a gender, trans species, we have to stick together and educate people, because we're losing so many of us, and the only way we can stop this is to let ourselves be heard, because we're people, we matter. And Leela wrote that she wanted transgender people to be seen as people, to have rights and be able to express their views. And I think that's the least she deserves, is to be able to look down and say, I helped. Because that's one life that didn't have to be lost. And that's all I really have to say on the matter. And I just want anyone to know that if you are transgender, or you're struggling with anything, there are people you can call, there are people you can talk to. You are never alone. And I'm going to put some numbers and websites in the comments box, because this can't carry on this way. Too many innocent, amazing people have been lost already, and that can't carry on. So yeah, I just wanted to say that I hope she's found peace now, and regardless of their views, my thoughts are with her family right now, and I hope maybe in years to come they will realise that she was their daughter. Have a nice day.